Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakha Kwadash. Bless you, Yahweh, bless you, Yahushai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Kahalayim La, Alahayanawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakha Kwadash. All praises to our power, our Father, Yahweh, in the name Yahushai. In the name of the Holy Spirit, double honor to our teachers, the elder apostles, and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the elect of Israel. Shalom. All right. And what you're looking at is an Ashanti priest, okay, which the Ashanti tribe, they are of the Akan people out of Ghana, okay? They're of the Akan people. And long story short, they're Israelites, okay? See this picture here, it says Ashanti ambassadors crossing the Pra, okay? But lo and behold, why is one of the people of the Ashanti wearing a high priest breastplate? You know, why is he wearing a high priest breastplate, and why is he wearing a turban? You know, a mitri, because they're Israelites, man. And I have reason to believe that a great portion of the Ashanti have to be of the tribe of Levi. You know, and not to say that there's not, you know, Judah and Benjamin among them, but just based off of this itself, you know, why do you have, you know, one of the people of the Ashanti wearing the apparel of the high priest, you know, wearing some of it? You know, we know the high priest will be fully clothed, but why does he have that breastplate on, and why is he wearing a turban? All right, and this is from the book Hebrew Isms of West Africa. It's hard for you to see it right here. Okay, this is an older book. I wanted to get one of the original copies. Okay, that's why it looks like this, you know, with the pages, you know. But you can, you know, read this for yourself. Excuse me. You can look this up for yourself, man. All right. And this segues me into the topic at hand. The Negroes are not Africans. Okay. And this is something that we know, but it's still good to go over the basics, man. You know, it's still good to go over these topics because we have new listeners every day. All right. So we have the Young's Bible Dictionary here. You know, we went into this recently, dealing with the topic of the mark of the beast, but we're going to go into it again, dealing with the topic of who the Negroes are. To say it again, Negroes are not African, man. They're not Hamites. Okay? We're in the Young's Bible Dictionary. The definition for Ham. Now it says Ham, a son of Noah and father of Cush, Egypt, Put, in Canaan. See further on each of these four. While they may have all been dark-skinned, they were not the forefathers of the Negroid races. See that? They were not the forefathers of the Negroid races. And when they say Negroid races, they're speaking about the people that were involved in the transatlantic slave trade, you know, the people that were imported to the Americas, the people that were shipped to the Americas, you know. You know what I'm saying? And the Caribbean islands. Those will be the Negroid races. And especially the so-called Negroes brought to North America. All right. So read that again. Ham, a son of Noah and father of Cush, Egypt, and Put, and Canaan. Now it says, getting to the point, while they may have all been dark skinned, they were not the forefathers of the Negroid races, but rather of the peoples associated with Egypt in the north of the continent of Africa. All right, and that's the point. So, who would the Negroid races be? The Negroid races would be Israelites. Okay, and this is just some more information for you because a lot of us we use the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, but you can use this one as well. Okay, originally printed in 1984, but it was updated in 2007. And it's a spirit in 2007. That's when our elder apostles and elder bishops got on YouTube, man. You know, so just some more heat for your arsenal. If you end up getting into a discussion with a Christian, which really we don't even we don't even talk to these Christians now. You know, really, if they approach us, we just tell them to leave. It's a waste of time. But for more edification for us, we can bring this out. Okay, you have the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, and you have the Young's Bible Dictionary. Once again, this was well, to show you. Originally printed in 1984, and it was updated in 2007. Okay, but yeah, hey, that's it, man. And there's a lot of information in this book. Now, the main book we need is the scriptures. We don't need these other books, but it's another tool. It's something else we can use, man. But that definition of Ham is plain. They were not the forefathers of the Negroid races. So who would the Negroid races be? They will be Israelites. They are Shemitic people. We are from Noah's son Shem, and we're Israelites, man. That's plain. And once again, you had this book here, Hebrew Isms of West Africa. Excuse me. And it's by this man here, Joseph J. Williams. All right, PhD. And like I said, when I got this, I wanted to make sure I got one of the first copies. That's why it looks like this. This was printed in 1930. It's just on my spirit to get a lot of older books, man. I'm one of them Jakes. But yeah, man, hey, you read this book, Lost Tribes and I'm about to say Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. That's another book. But you read this book, Hebrewism of West Africa, it goes into the history of the Northern Kingdom too. If when you read this book, it mentions the American Indians, which are Israelites. It mentions the Israelites that went into captivity by way of the Assyrian Empire. This book goes into that. It covers all that. Once again, the main book we use is the Holy Scriptures, but the Lord does have certain information out there that we can use. Now I mentioned the book Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders. This book, Hebrewism of West Africa, gives you the same account. So, I'm going to have to go back into that, man. Lord would, that could be one of my next videos. But, they mention Antonio de Montezinos, okay, which he was a, a Moreno. He was a Israelite that was forcibly to be converted. So I want to say, I'm not gonna wing it. I'm gonna have to just go back into the account. I might just go back into it. But basically, long story short, Antonio de Montezinos, he came across some Israelites that are of the tribe of Reuben, and it tells you that in the book Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, man. So we're not gonna wing it. We gonna actually go back into that book, and you see how that links up with this. And it's another book. It's called damn, what is it called? Um, The Hope of Israel. It's called The Hope of Israel, but it gives the same account. So it's not that account isn't made up. You have three sources that pretty much speak about how this man here, Antonio de Montezinos, came across some Israelites that were the tribe of Reuben, and they said how the tribe of Joseph, which is Ephraim, was on an island nearby. You know, so you can't make it up, man. It's not made up. There's three sources of information. This book here, Hebrews in West Africa, which is printed in 1930. Okay, and you got the book Lost Tribes of Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders, and you had the other book. It's called The Hope of Israel and Tawadi How Bashim Yahushai. I have all three of those books. Now, the lesson wasn't about me speaking on the Northern Kingdom, but you know what? This is not a black thing. It's an Israelite thing. So we mentioned the Southern Kingdom. I have to mention the Northern tribes too. Okay? And Lord willing, since I mentioned this account here, because in this book, Hebrews in West Africa, I'm just going to have to actually, cover this. I'm going to have to go back into it, But yeah, man. But going back to the topic itself, if the Negroes here in America, which a lot of us go back to the Ghanaian people, a lot of us go back to Ghana. If we're Africans, if we're Hamites, let me find a picture for you again. If we're Africans or Hamites, why do you have a person of the Ashanti tribe wearing a high priest breastplate and he has a mitre on his head, a turban? Okay, this is the apparel of the Israelites, in particular the tribe of Levi, and in particular the Levites of the line of Aaron. Okay, of the lineage of of Aaron. Why do you have that? Because the Ashanti people really are Israelites, man. So that's that. We are not Hamites, we're Israelites, and just further proof. Okay. But yeah, with that, I pray this edifying. I want to say, Call Halayim La, Allahayya Nawa, Abinawa, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Shalom on the next video.